Grand Finals, my name is Jake Hitbro Matthews, and I am joined here on the Castle Desk by Dan Orcs Harrison and Celtic Tiger Brennan. I forgot your name there for a minute. Sorry about that, mate. We are currently in a series where Misfits are 1-0 up versus Abolus, but it was so close that last game. There you go. There you go. You're not going to get the bunny ears Tiger had yesterday, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, you could if you moved a bit this way.
Yeah. I don't want to get too
really
close
lean
to you,
onto
though,
Dan's
so that's
shoulder, you know?
That's the problem there. But that was an upset. I mean, it was an upset because Abolus should have had complete control of the game, and I'm really stretching my truth here.
It was an in-game upset, we'll say.
Yeah.
Given the way the game was going, it looked like
Abolus
Abolus
had so
had
much
it.
control, right? And then they try for Baron, which they should have learned from Misfits' mistakes, because Abolus pulled that game back because Misfits kept trying for Baron.
And the thing I wanted to say was it was a lot of clutch. It was a clutch call that ended up paying off, and Diabolus is a less experienced roster.
Yeah.
They have not played with each other as much. Misfits have been playing together a long time, and I think that experience is what allowed them to make such a strange but winning play.
It felt like, to me, it was like a tennis match. There was a lot of back and forth, and then suddenly Diabolus' strings just broke, and the racket fell apart, because, I mean, that was just...
Pretty sure that's worthy of a pause at a Wimbledon game if
yeah,
your racket explodes.
No, if your racket explodes, it's your own fault.
Tough luck, you should have got
Gotta hit it with the frame.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just...
It's true tennis.
It felt like there was so much tension in that game, and then Diabolus just made a big mistake that we talked about. We said they don't have the fastest Baron damage. They decided to go for a trade, really underestimating how quickly that Tristana could take down those towers and objectives, and then in the end...
Yeah,
lost out.
Even the Rise is doing a lot of damage. You have to remember that change a while back that allowed mages to do more damage to towers. That Rise had a lot of damage because he'd been just consistently picking up the fights, the kills in most of these team fights. And one Rise auto was taking, you know, a good 1/8 of the tower's health.
You got to keep in mind now that teams will be switching sides going through into this next pick and bans. And Bloomigan said that Balulu can't really play that Akali, so the blue side Akali ban is going to have to happen.
And the LeBlanc as well.
And the LeBlanc as well,
and
so they lose some really important bans.
We mentioned how on red side, it's not as significant because Akali is a common red side ban. You often ban power picks, but see, Dabs, on this blue side, banning away 2 picks you wouldn't traditionally. And actually, same bans coming out. We'll see if Misfits go for the same direction.
Well, Aurelia taken off the board. There's going to be the Lulu.
All
3 of his bans, but this time Balulu says, you know what, I'm going to play the Rise.
Or Flaxfish does.
Flaxfish also play this Rise, so it is there as a flex, but does deny this first pick from Special. Question is, what will he play in this situation? Might anticipate that the Rise is a flex, or might think he's going up against it, but unsurprisingly...
The Braum Varus
would make a lot of sense here, but I don't think it's going to get flexed to mid. I mean, it could do. We could just see mirroring compositions from these teams. They're like, oh, well, you did okay last game. We'll try your comp.
I have a feeling Shikari mightn't bring out the Alawi, but it's possible. I mean, who knows?
Oh, hold on. That's locked in. Pike for Diabolus. Anthrax will get his hands on the Assassin support as NG will get his hands this time on the Sejuani. Do we see the Gragas get picked up here?
The one thing I do like is that the Pike was what Misfits countered Braum with previously, and now it's Diabolus doing the same.
Yeah, I think here there's a lot of decisions. I think taking a jungle would be the smart decision, but you could take a mid laner, because remember, Special's champ pool going to get clamped even more if you leave it till the next rotation. Actually going to go towards that Kindred. So this is something we saw NG play into Sejuani. Great success yesterday. Now, Afflictors on the other side of the matchup. If you get a good early game, can be so powerful.
And what I touched on previously, as we saw a similar option in the previous draft, I expected the Trundle as it's a little less dangerous, because Trundle is always useful because of the pillar. However, the Kindred, once ahead, as you were noting, can just pull off such a heavy snowball. And with the way Misfits were playing, I think that does lean into their style that little bit more. So I do like this pick for Afflict.
Does give a lot of protection to that Varus as well to pump out the DPS. However, having not picked up a mid laner, Diabolus will start to ban away some picks. Taking out that Cassiopeia is going to suggest towards Misfits that this is a mid lane Rise, but it is still a flex. Blackchis has played it top before, but Cassiopeia will not be an answer to it.
I think the biggest thing that gives away that it's a Rise mid is they don't have the counter pick top. So it would be very dangerous to blind pick Rise top. So my expectation is that they will just put it mid, unless Misfits lock in a top laner before this, which would be very unusual.
Could be a lot of confidence coming out. Because the thing is, if Special goes for a mid laner here, and Balulu goes, oh, I can actually counter that with this, they could put the Rise top as a blind, because I feel Flax has just shown he's confident into Shikari. He's shown that, I mean, they might end up just taking the top laner here, so they're aware of the fact it could be a flex Rise. They want to put Special, who's been their star player, in the best position, and Shikari goes, look guys, I'm going to be honest, I'm okay taking the Cho'Gath here. Will they lock it in though?
I think it makes sense, or even the Scion or something similar, because it's just something that can beat Ryze, or can deal with Ryze in the lane, means that you haven't immediately given them the option to swap that top, and it also means that knowing that you're forcing them on the Ryze mid, Special can counterpick it.
Yeah, so this means Special does have the position to see exactly what he's going up against the mid game. Again, traditionally you would think Ryze locked in, that's probably going to be mid, but we've seen Flax just play at top, and now we will see whether it is. And with that Azir, which is something Blue plays, it will be a Ryze top lane without a doubt. I say that, I mean, they could throw some spicy stuff up, but I think very likely to be a Ryze top lane into that Cho'Gath. And now, is that Azir mid? What will Special play into it? LeBlanc, a great counter to Azir, but off the table.
AD Jarvan, do something crazy with it. Go with the Echo, things that can really heavily punish the Azir, because I do think Special had a really strong game. I'd like to see something that can punish even in the early game. Potentially something a little less risky.
I mean, a big counter.
I wouldn't go for the full AD Jarvan.
That was so fun.
As much as that would be fun.
Have got on the Syndra. A big counter to Azir is actually these poke champions. They could have moved the Varus mid, but instead Special going for something which he's going to have a lot of control over. This Syndra, a lot of base damage, and there's some good targets on the side of Diabolus that he can punish. A lot of backline strength coming out for Misfits, and they have the protection from that Braum, from that Kindred. But Diabolus, is this Ryze going to be a problem later in the game? You saw how devastating Special was when he got ahead on it. It's now going to be a top lane Ryze, and as you saw, Flax is able to push leads in the top lane and get significant CS advantages.
But the big thing about this Cho'Gath Ryze matchup is it was something that used to actually be picked in the mid lane when AP Cho'Gath was a thing, because you could silence the Ryze and you actually shut down all of his DPS for a short time, and sometimes that short time is all you need to burst him.
So what you're trying to say is that Shikari should go full AP here?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's have some fun with this one. I love the aggressive draft they brought in before.
Was the Leona and the allowing not entertaining? Are you not entertained?
I'm entertained. I could do with a little more.
You're that picky guy, aren't you?
I think the big thing is that you already have the damage sources in the fact that you have this Kindred jungle. If you set up the CC onto this immobile Ryze and Kindred turns up, he has the damage to deal with Flaxfish and cement a lead. You can see Shikari there talking strategy with his team, as you'd hope, going into game 2 of the series. Prosfed decides he's not going to say anything, on the other hand.
Are you play-by-playing the team discussions before we start?
I mean,
yes.
The big thing for me is, while the last game was spicy, this is more like, that was more like a Nando's, maybe medium. I'm just shooting right to the edge of the chart.
You want to go ring roulette?
Yeah.
That's what you want.
Yeah, I want something that potentially burns my tongue out. I'm not going to be able to cast the next game with so much stuff going on.
Good thing we have 3 on the desk, though. So if your tongue just gets spiced out, we'll be able to pick up. One thing I do like to see coming out from Diabolus is that they've put MTES onto an AD carry. He's going to be able to have more of a presence in these team fights, and I think that's something they lacked in the last game when he was on their Ziggs.
I will say it's still a relatively single target damage AD carry, so it's not the big, on-hit Varus or something like Kai'Sa that would really have pumped out the damage in the later game. Still something that scales quite well, but I feel like it could fall potentially into the Ziggs trap where it's not able to deal with things as well as what Misfits could bring out.
Yeah, I mean, it's not good at killing tanks, and there's going to be a big Cho'Gath in front of you. If you're just pumping axes into that,
this
not
is
going to be the best
disorienting
situation. But again,
I hope you're dizzy.
Pyke in the bot lane, and then having the Ezreal, sorry. Pyke in the bot lane and then having the Ezreal carry. So much gold generation come from that. You have the Kleptomancy, and you have the extra gold from the Pyke ultimate.
Well, we're through onto Summoner's Rift, the second game of this series. Best of 5, Misfits 1-0 up. Before we get into the game, we're going to pass down to Excandro, who's standing by with an interview.
Thank you very much. I'm here with Blummigan from Diabolus. Obviously, that was an incredible end of game 1. You did come out on the losing side, but it was really close, and you guys looked incredible, especially Flaxish in the top lane looked fantastic. How did you reset the guys going into this second game?
I think everything was fine. Like, we knew we were the better team. I mean, one small mistake made the entire game go boom, But it's like, they didn't really care about it. We knew, we got even more confident after this, to be fair.
So even more confident after that first game. Anything that Misfits have brought out that surprised you so far, or you kind of read everything that they've done?
I mean, not really. We knew, maybe Leona, but the rest, not really.
Yeah, we were a little bit surprised by Leona as well. Not going to talk about draft, because obviously this is a really intense series. Don't want to give anything away. Back to you guys over on the casting desk.
Thank you very much, Excandro. Lots of confidence. I mean, I wouldn't expect anything less from Blummigan.
Yeah, ever confident. And the thing is, the players on his team are all veterans, had a lot of experience. And the thing is, the game one, the outcome of it isn't necessarily going to decide the series, but you get to feel like your opponents. Diabolus went into this and felt, you know, everyone was hyping up Misfits as the favorites to win, but they looked a bit shaky game one. Yes, they came out with it in the end because of a misplay from us, but they're confident going into this game two that they can come out ahead get and equalize the series.
Fact is, they were winning team fights on a team that realistically shouldn't be able to fight in the same way because they were playing them outright better. They were, as we were talking about, getting better flanking positions off. They were starting the fights on their terms in a lot of cases. So Diabolus, I can understand where that confidence would come from. On the other side, from Misfits, they've had a chance to reset. They were able to make the clutch call and win out that game one. Now it's time to look at, okay, what did we do wrong there? How do we fix those differences coming into game two? And I think, given the comp they have the potential to do so.
Yeah, I mean, once again, with this side of Misfits, I feel if you fight front to back, you're going to do really well here. You have that solid front line. You have so much backline damage and protection. The thing is, this Ryze might be a problem in the side lane later on. The Azir has so much range, as does the Ezreal. If you try and overcommit onto these carries, they are great at kiting and disengaging while pummeling through your front line.
And I'm just going to quickly explain the terms you use there, because front to back is something that, while it's a generally understood term, can confuse people on occasion. It's something we do use in the UK a bit. It just effectively means putting your tanks in front, allowing your backline to pump out the damage necessary.
Yeah, so just killing whatever's closest to you without getting a bit too deep and dicey in the enemy's carries.
So not Venz's Kai'Sa yesterday.
No, Venza was the opposite of fighting front to back.
But that was so fun to watch.
He went
had
back to front.
Literally.
But yeah, so in this situation, it would mean like you hit NG, you hit Anthrax, potentially Flax if he steps up, and you apply the Braum passive and then the CC from the carries, and you just pummel damage into them. Misfits will come out ahead on that. However, if there's a flank that comes in, look at Special, look at Crispig, immobile carries, if Afflict isn't able to protect them with his ultimate, might be vulnerable to Diabolus.
Well, Crispig's built this lethal tempo on the... taken the lethal tempo, not built it. Taken the lethal tempo on the Varus. So this screams to me it's more going to be that on-hit Varus, but considering there's so many squishy members for the side of Diabolus, I'm surprised we're not seeing the lethality. Is there a reason for this, or...?
I think it's just better for fighting front to back, you know, as we said they want to do. They want to hit the front line and just shred through it from Diabolus. And the thing is, if MTES does start to move forwards, Ezreal has good burst, but sustained isn't as good as an on-hit Varus. And as a result, I think it's the better build in this situation.
Yeah, and it also means you have this really difficult to deal with double marksman comp coming out from Misfits in a fight. So once you take one down, you still have the potential huge consistent damage on Misfits' side.
Yeah, and you have so much burst already coming out from the Syndra, you don't need extra from the Varus. I mean, he already can put out a fair amount of damage, which is sustained damage, which means if anyone gets close to him, he's gonna cut through them.
Well, both of these teams were 4 minutes in. It's playing a little bit slower than we did in the last game. Slight gold lead edging out in favour of Misfits, but it's only 400 for the moment, so nothing too major, nothing really to kind of write home about yet. As the jungle pathing is what I want to really start focusing on here, Celtic Tiger. I know that's your area. Where are we going to start seeing his attention? Who's going to be the first one to pull that trigger?
Because realistically, it should be Afflict. That is what you pick this Kindred for. You have more pressure early on. You're actually able to fight this Sejuani if you run into her, on top of the fact that it allows you to farm marks where possible. The question is, can Afflict do that? We've seen him with the potential to carry when he picked the Taliyah previously in the tournament. It's now time for him to step up when his team needs him, especially towards the early game, considering they've picked lanes that can win early on. Use that priority, start pushing aggressive advantages, as Misfits have been known to do.
Flaxis and Shikari just trading constantly here in this top lane.
Yeah, Flaxis did use that TP to get a hold of that tier. Did mean Shikari was able to shove the lane out. Is going to recall himself right now, but a contestation of the Skull Crab. Afflict does pick it up though.
And this is the 1v1 potential we're talking about. However, the mid laners can quickly affect the fight.
Special's a little low on mana though.
Yeah, as is Balulu though. They both very low on mana. Have to play a bit safe. Might not be there for the support, but Afflict.
Oh! Well, Balulu's still low here, yeah.
Yeah, Afflict doesn't have ultimate, but he doesn't particularly need it for the moment. Waiting for the wave.
Probably shouldn't tank tower in the meantime.
I like how he decided
that situation
to change path halfway through as well. Just did a quick 180 and went back towards.
I think the reason being is Anthrax had moved from bot lane. He'd start to move up the pike, and he knew if he walked through the towers, there's a risk he runs into a few members of Diabolus. Yes, he took the extra tower hit and some poke from Balulu, but he does get out safely with his life. I think it was the right decision.
Yeah, certainly. I think potentially what was happening there was he decided against the dive and was going to farm Raptors in the meantime. Seeing that wasn't an option with Anthrax leaving, ends up just tanking tower shots and looking little silly on the way out, but certainly alive, which is a massive buff.
Is he on
bonus.
10 stacks?
No.
I saw the number 10 next to
There
his
is
name.
no way he's on 10
That's
stacks.
why I
It's
was like-
literally impossible.
How many is he on? Oh, 2.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's the wolf that has 10. I was like, what's going on here? I thought there was a bug. I'm not even going to lie. Like, I was like, how is he
Wait,
getting 10 stacks at 5
Afflict on
minutes?
40 stacks? Look, 41. Look how many stacks he has. This is insane. Wow, what a good early game.
Look, he's level 57 with Ezreal.
There you go. You've been shown with a spectator.
Cheers, mate.
Unlucky. Unlucky.
I mean, we're a bit too harsh on you, Jake. I mean, when I was Silver Elo, I didn't understand the game that well either.
I was silver for a week. I was literally a week. I started the game and landed in gold afterwards. Placed silver 2. Took me a week to climb out. Unlucky, dude.
Well, there you go.
I have nothing prepared for you. All I have is prepared for Orcs, you know, the fact that he's a washed-up player, you know, being dragged out here.
At least to be washed up, you have to have been good at one point. When have you ever been good?
I was never a player, though.
For good reason.
Yeah, for very good reason. But we are kind of sidetracking here a little bit, kind of stepping away from the game. We want to kind of bring it back a little bit now, as we do start to look at the items starting to get picked up. Crispberg's got those attack speed boots, building towards that blade.
Level
Brewing
6
King
though.
actually just hits that level 6 mark, instantly goes in onto Anthrax,
This is
gets
the kill.
pulled out by Chains of Corruption, and Prosper finds first blood.
And this is one of the things, if you roam on that pike, yes, you can provide pressure to the team, but you'll lose out on experience. Misfits get the level up quicker, and an instant punish coming out from Crispberg and Prosper. Really good coordination from these two to CC chain Anthrax so we couldn't get away.
And that was also such a dangerous call, though, knowing that you are lower, you don't have the lane priority as well. To push up that far ahead, I know you're Pike, but a little too far from Anthrax, and it's punished heavily.
Even able to steal away that blue buff as Flaxish gets knocked up just off the side of the screen. Flick's going to be able to pick up the Scuttle Crab.
A lot of pressure coming out from the side of Misfits, and you can see it was a good move there. Their movements, not only did it force Flaxish to back off, but they also picked up the blue for free, and we'll see that 2v2 in the bot lane.
Yeah, you can just immediately see the minion dematerializer used, just instantly takes out the cannon, turns him level 6, and they're waiting for that opportunity. Immediately pull the trigger. Again, good quick calls coming out for Misfits.
Yeah, we'll see. Oh, an ult actually coming in from Special, but a flash away from Special, an ult from Balulu, and then he's going to try and turn around here.
Has that unleashed power, is going to use it, but Balulu with the E shield is able to keep himself nice and alive. And
That was
actually
barrier
hanging about. Oh, is that his barrier?
Yeah, so
Oh.
trade of summons, but flash down for Special. Definitely vulnerable here. Special looking aggressive, though.
Well, Special has the mana to play with, Balulu less so. It's just got that corrupting potion to kind of recover any kind of manas. Got the magic resist boots as well, so the Mercury Treads are there. And the blue buff is still available for Special to get, as once again he lands a Scatter the Weak. Lobs the minion up, and now Afflict is going to be able to secure this Ocean Drake for the side of Misfit.
And this is the thing, they have the pressure advantage mid, they have the pressure advantage bot. Afflict, this is a great situation from Honor Kindred to be able to take over the map.
Speaking of Kindred, actually, going for the AD early on, generally into Sejuani you go for the attack speed build, but this actually comes back to when we were having the debate about lethality Varus versus on hit,
Crispberg?
which we will go back to shortly.
Yeah?
When we were having that debate, they are squishier, so going for that just flat AD with the Warrior and Kindred could potentially help out that little bit more.
Yeah, because I feel like the threat isn't there from Sejuani, and Crispberg is going to be able to shred through it. I think having the AD means if you manage to get a couple of autos onto the squishy members, they will go down very quickly. And speaking of squishy members, right, could be
Shikari
trouble
has
here.
Beast actually, and Flash. Flaxish is running away with Flash of his own, means Shikari's not going to commit for the kill.
Yeah, doesn't have the grasp on this Cho'Gath, so lacks a bit of that sustained damage to take out Flaxish, but playing aggressively, and you can see a CS lead taken out in this matchup already. Flaxish.
Shikari's got to
Struggling
know
with the-
something's up here.
Crispberg and Prospero are coming over though. They're here to back him up. If NG goes in, this could be really bad for Diabolus.
Shikari tanking a fair amount of damage though from Flaxish. Crispberg hanging in the wings. In comes the engage from NG. Silence instantly out as he gets ruptured up. Damage starting to pump down and they are running low. Crispberg with a piercing arrow finds the kill and now Flick is here. Flaxish with the Realm Warp will deliver them to safety, but Afflict is going forward. Can't quite connect another kill and it's just going to be one for Misfits.
Could have been really bad there, but the CC ended up
still here.
going down.
He's not
Pike.
going to find it.
That's Pike
He's
for
a-
you.
Yeah, well, yeah. CC didn't end up going down on the Flaxish, was able to realm one out, but a dicey situation. Misfits coming out ahead again, and they're going to look to pressure this top lane tower, and should be able to pick up for free, and then Afflict, after taking that Dragon bot side, now prioritizing the Rift on the
Are
top
they
side.
going to try
Misfits,
race this bot with the TP?
they might well do.
They actually are racing it at the moment. We can't see exactly the HP of the bot lane, but Misfits looking to be on point
Yeah,
to
it's
get
not
that
gonna be
first
in
turret
time.
blood. Not going to be in time. Misfits accelerate that gold lead even more, 19k to 15k. So 4k gold lead over. The Shikari actually has
Gonna
turned up to
deny.
defend, trying to hold it out, but Flaxish and M-Test are running him a little bit low. Turret will finally go down, and Dablus are at least able to answer back.
But he stalls them out, and this means Misfits able to push on his top side and pick up the Rift Herald in a great position. We'll see that play coming in here.
This is the kill a while back that we saw off screen as Ocean Drake went down.
It looks like M-Test just not respecting the ult coming out from Chrisberg, doesn't use the arcane shift in time, and then just CC layering. So good there from the Misfits bot lane.
And this is one of Chrisberg's comfort picks. He loves this Varus. He gets his hands on it whenever he can. 2-0 on it now. Got a CS leads, feeling pretty comfortable. Now let's have a little look at Dablus though. They are pushing this lane.
Yeah, Special died off screen, so again, we keep looking at a replay and we end up missing what happens on screen. So much action going on in these games, despite the fact it's only 1-3 in kills. But Syndra did drop from Special, flashless, and I think Balulu used the ult, so we will get to see this here.
I wonder what kill we missed in
Gotta
this
be the
replay.
Shrima shuffle into NG. Certainly.
He feels comfortable
Wait,
playing
that's
around
my prediction.
control ward.
What's
yeah.
coming out? Is it the Shrima shuffle?
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
Into the hook.
NG, and down he goes.
Arctic Assault and the Bone Skewer as well, so he just got kind of like locked in place.
Wait, I'm taking stock. Okay, we didn't miss anything this time, all right, guys. They did pop the Rift Herald, though,
Herald,
so
though.
mid tower gonna go down.
They can
Misfits.
fight
We're
here.
going to change the corruption. The turret does go up from the Streamer as Prospect stepping forward. Balulu takes a Winter's
bugged
Bite.
at the Herald.
Going white. Herald is stuck trying to clear out this turret. It will go down, and now we're going to continue to see Misfits continue to pressure into Dablus. They have a minion wave to work with, and M-Test has only just made his way here with that True Shot barrage. The turret's going down. A Scout of the Week connects onto 2 by Special, and the turret is going to be falling as Misfits continue to pressure, are just looking so strong in this game too. They're looking revitalized. They're
gonna get
looking
third
refreshed.
dash as
and
well.
They might get that third dash if no one can get behind the Rift Herald in time. Not going to be the case. Going to take half of its HP. And this is so good for Misfits. We're only 13 minutes in, and they have so much pressure on the map.
Yeah, it just feels like the control has constantly been over towards them. I mean, look at the CS differences. Jungle's ahead, top's ahead, mid's ahead. And although bot is where it is close, you have a 3-kill Varus. Already has that Blade of the Wind King, working towards likely the Runans, or potentially the Rapid Fire Cannon when they squish your targets to hit.
And part
Great
of the
position for Misfits.
part of the weakness of picking things like the Rise top, like, you know, the Ezreal bot, is you need that time to scale. You need that kind of opening because you haven't guaranteed yourself lane priority. And what Misfits do is they use that lane priority. They push forward, even the jungle priority as well in the 1v1. And suddenly Diablos are forced so far back that they can't find those openings that they were finding last game.
Tyke, when we got into this game, actually, I'm going to have to hold that point as NG looks for the flash ultimate, but doesn't actually connect it as Chrisberg with the fancy flash also avoids out. Misfits still are going to be able to hold out here in the mid lane, and I'm going to go back to my point
You had your
now.
point, yes.
When we turned up today, the producer turned to you, Tyke, and said, what are you expecting today? Do you think it's going to be a clean 3-0? And you said it has the potential to go all the way to 5 games, but you also said you expect these games to be very fast and very action-packed. Game 1 was a little bit slower, but was extremely action-packed.
Yeah,
Game 2, sorry, has been very, very quick.
Yeah, and we now have 14 minutes and they're going to push for more.
They are chasing for more. Balulu with the 2-man shuffle. Doesn't mean squad
Oh!
mode, and the last respite will keep Misfits alive. They found 1, they found 3, and M-Test is going to answer back, but he goes down. It's a double kill onto Special. The returning mid lane for Misfits is going to come up huge, and only Flaxish remains.
Yeah, and just what a Lamb's Respite coming out from Afflict saves them all from the ult coming out from Anthrax on this Pyke. Really good play to turn on that team fight. Looked a bit dicey at the start, but they pull it in.
Denying the Pyke was so cool to watch, and now it's Flaxish. Where are you going, dude?
Well, he's realm warping away. He's getting silenced by Shikari. Shikari takes him down. Afflict, sorry, is the one to get that kill. Turret will fall as well. We are now 4 turrets to 1 in favor of Misfits and a massive gold lead.
It just feels like it is a different team from that game 1. Misfits are clean and coordinated, and we're going to see that fight once again.
Just watch how quickly they burst people out. This is Misfits with the lead. They're consistently making aggressive calls, and they find NG out because he's attempting to death rush as Sejuani.
Yeah, and you actually think this could go so good for Dablus when they knock the bot lane of Misfits in, and then just
Boom.
as the death from below comes in, great ult coming out from Afflict to save them. And although Varus does die in the end, they manage to turn around the team fight and get the members there and trade so favorably 4 for 1.
What a time to return if you're Special for the side of Misfits. As
Yeah,
turret
it does nothing all
Special went
season.
down. Special went down.
he
on
went
screen.
down.
I was just
Ah.
picking you up, man. What are you doing?
So close.
Being missing all season, just coming in for playoffs, and then ended up potentially
You know
They
what?
had a great
We're,
performance.
just
Potentially
we're
go to
trying to hype him
European
up. We
Masters.
don't want to see any of his deaths this game. You know, you
Well,
wanna
we're
see-
about to see one here. This
Ah,
is
okay, here we
NG
go.
going forward with Anthrax and M-Test. There's not a lot you can do on Syndra in this position.
Yes, Syndra very immobile, doesn't have the tools in that situation. Just kind of overstepped, overconfident, but Misfits still very
NG's
far
same
ahead.
play onto Shikari.
Speaking of missed positions, in the top lane, Shikari will get bone skewered. In comes NG and M-Test as well. They're pumping the damage down. Knock-up goes a little bit wide. He's got the silence, and Shikari trying to stay alive for as long as possible, but NG will be able to get that kill. Meanwhile, what is going on the rest of the map? Misfits were trying to rotate up, but weren't able to do so.
Yeah, and just
That was a failure because that exact play had just happened.
okay. If it happens again, though, I mean, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times, shame on my whole team.
Anthrax maybe looking for a flick here. Seismic
The
shove.
Lulu.
Sorry, that's the shuffle back onto Chrisberg. Underneath the turret, but Lulu gets him and a flick goes forward. Finds one back. It's a 1-for-1 trade, but Flaxich trying to trade out. True Shot Barrage is there, and the Flick is diving and ducking away with that Lamb's Respite. The Glacial Fissure is there, and the Flick is ducking. He is so low. He's going to be forced to use the ultimate for the moment, but he's trying to get a kill onto NG. He jumps out of the Respite. He's still alive, and Prosper with the Unbreakable is blocking so much damage up, and in comes Special just to clear out the wave. He's fine.
Yeah, I mean, he was there in the end to recover, but still, Diabolus are starting to find windows back into this game. Things looked so dire in this early game, but Misfits have started to mess up in the mid game, lose a couple of members here and there. They have to be careful because Ryze and Azir are monsters in the late game.
This is the exact thing we saw Misfits do to Diabolus in game 1. Get ahead early, get a little bit overconfident. This time they're not losing around Baron, they're just losing around picks, and Diabolus rotating perfectly to catch them out.
You are right. This is very similar to game 1. Misfits, you know, they suddenly had that aggressive advantage, and we expected them, as they usually do, to close out quite effectively, and Misfits were doing so, and then suddenly Diabolus find a few picks in a row, and Misfits aren't able to regroup in time. Now, you would hope, with Misfits still in the lead, they can slow it down. They can regroup here. As a Diabolus fan, though, you're looking for it. Can you get more picks? You have the potential with the likes of Pyke and Sejuani.
I mean, as a Misfits or a Diabolus fan, there is so much on the line. This is it. This is the winner of the first Forge of Champions. And if Misfits can find this win, their mental going into game 3 should be booming. They should be, not booming, sorry, should be positively booming. I couldn't find the right word for that.
Got there in the end.
Kinda got there in the end.
Something we have seen often in the UK scene is reverse sweep. So even if they get the second game,
Is this going to be
they're
another
not
base
remain-
race for
Has
Misfits?
to be confident. Yeah, it looks like, I think it's a smart decision from Diabolus. You can't spend that in a tower, so you go for the top one. But the problem is, Misfits know this. They're now going to punish this inhibitor
True
tower.
Shot Barrage will clear out quite a lot of the wave, but it's still going to stay alive as this time Balulu is there to clear out. Misfits are actually going to be able to take this turret down, and now Shikari stepping forward. Balulu, Summoners drifts his way around the base, but
It looked
not going to
cool,
go
but
in.
it didn't do very much.
It looked awesome, dude.
Oh man, he like hooked it, and you know, sometimes that's all you can do. It's kind of, you know, if I was given the opening, guys, I'm just saying this is what I could
This
do.
is what I would have done. You're lucky. You got lucky this time.
Balulu did a better 3-point turn than my sister can do in a car, so...
Man,
Wow,
yeah,
apologies
I
to
can't
Jake's
speak much.
sister if she is watching this.
My driving's fairly shaky, but speaking of shaky,
Shikari's still pretty tanky, so I don't know who this is shaky for. Force of Will by Special is going to go a little bit wide onto Anthrax, and they were looking for the play. Didn't quite find it, though.
A big thing to talk about here is that M-Test still hasn't finished that Triforce. Yes, he's finished the Mirror Mana, but that's the big 2-item spike you want to get. I mean, at the best situation, like 15, 60 minute point, it's almost 20 minutes and you're still not on that 2-item spike, and you can see the rest of Misfits are starting to accelerate ahead of that curve. Look at Chrisberg, has that Blade of the King, has that Runans, has a pickaxe. His damage is so hard to deal with, and I feel like M-Test is going to be struggling.
And look what's spawning. Misfits, again, have such a good Baron taking comp. They didn't actually take Baron at all last game, but they played around it. They tried a lot. This time, you do have to recognize that Diabolus also have a lot faster ability to take the Baron than they did last time, with the fact that they've got that Azir, with the fact that they've got the Ryze as well.
but you also have an extremely fast Baron take from Misfits. It's so quick with the double marksman. You cannot undervalue that, and I think that's going to make it even harder looking forward.
Plus, they have a Cho'Gath and a Kindred, which makes the Baron secure so safe. You can stop the other team from Smite Stealing with that Kindred ult, and the Cho'Gath ult just makes it so easy to secure. With good communication, Misfits should feel confident to start up
They
this
are
Baron.
spotted with that Sly ward just outside of the pit, just outside of the range of the control ward, but this is going down very quickly.
Flaxage has that teleport, so he can make his way, and Baron's already at half HP. NG and the rest of the team are starting to make their way. Flaxy
Thank
still
you.
hasn't pulled the trigger on that teleport. It's on 2k HP. In goes the ulti. That's going to be Baron secured by Misfits as Balulu's running low, but Alam's Respite will heal all of Misfits up inside the pit as they manage to find themselves 2 kills. A double kill instantly picked up onto Chrisberg. They're running low. Flaxish with a Realm Warp will be able to make his way out, and now Prosper hot on the chase for M-Test. One more auto attack will stun him, but NG over the wall with the Glacial Prison, trying to lock them in place. Prosper with a supportal kill. NG running low and Afflict hot on his heels, looking for the chase, looking for the kill, can't quite find it, and 3 members of Diabolus go down, and Misfits are going to look to close.
Big team fight win from them. I don't think it's late enough to close now, but they have the Baron. They're going to start hitting on Diabolus' base. Not looking good.
They can just back off as well, pick themselves up another Ocean Drake, triple Ocean Drake when you want to siege up with your Baron. That could well mean the close. Diabolus need to find exactly what they did in the previous game. Look for them picks.
Yeah, and so much more gold going over to Misfits. It's not even 10k, it's a 12k gold lead on top of that Baron buff. Huge advantage for Misfits, and this is a team that traditionally we've said when they get a lead, they know how to push it, and they've shown this in this game too.
And that was actually the biggest weakness we saw in Game 1. Diabolus were able to disrupt that. We've seen that again. Diabolus showed a lot of potential in starting to disrupt that. They reset. They gave over a few kills in a row. They went, okay, we still have the comp guys, slow it down. They did so, secure themselves the Baron, and are able to push forward with that potentially towards the end.
Yeah, and the question is, where will Misfits put their pressure now? That bot lane inhibitor is exposed,
So's the mid lane.
but the mid lane is as
Yeah, that's
well.
a ward, mate, don't worry.
Yep, is a
It is weirdly deceptive.
Yeah, both those bot sides, but I think the big thing is they're going to get special to push in the bot lane, get that Ocean Dragon essentially for free, and then start to move in and take control of the red side jungle. Deny the vision for Diabolus, and then you have the control to decide where you want to go. But bottom mid, the likely options here.
I really want to see how many stacks Shikari's on. It's one of my favorite things about champions.
7.
Like, 7? Okay, so he's got 3k HP.
Oh wait, are you sure it's 7? Are you sure it's not 190?
Look, mate. Listen here. I could unplug your mic at any moment.
I mean, you can, but...
I can. I'm not going to.
Yeah, they're starting to get control of this red side. Clear out the vision. Lots of pink wards going down, but they have actually missed that crucial ward placed there, so they will be somewhat aware of the position of Misfits. Diabolus going to back off, not face checking that area, but now this is where the situation gets difficult. They have to try and defend against the siege.
I mean, that is a very key word, though, because it does mean they know roughly how many people are rotating to either lane. They know which one Misfits are trying to focus as a major team fight.
Yeah, in a normal situation, I'd also say it's a great TP flank ward, but Flaxish doesn't have TP and isn't the sort of champion you want to TP flank, and Misfits just going to push straight in. No real opposition coming in. They
have
might
a big
just let it
wave.
end.
They're actually going straight in here. Can they actually get the damage down? That's going to be the question. Turret number 1 goes down, and Flaxish with no teleport is still recalling. It's a 5v4. Misfits, content with taking 1 turret and 1 inhibitor, are going to turn again towards the next turret. Scatter the Weak actually connected by Special there, and they're looking for the silence. Oh, baby! Amphorax is just deleted as Chrisberg gets his 7th kill on the Varus, and now Misfits are looking to close out. Big shuffle out of the Lamb's Respite though, and Afflict still inside, trying to trade out with Balulu, but Balulu goes down, and Afflict finds the kill. Flaxish running low, is running out with the shields, can't quite get enough. A Special takes him down, and only one stands. It's M-Test, and the Nexus will be focused by the side of Misfits. They're looking to go 2-0, not without getting a couple of glory kills before they close this out. Down goes the Nexus at 24 minutes, and Misfits are on match point.
And it's a clear and calculated game from them. Unlike game 1, they got a lead, they pushed it, and they closed the game out. It felt like at the end, Diabolus were forced to fight, but there was nothing left in the tank.
And what I've actually really liked is the way Misfits layered a lot of their CC as in these fights. Specifically, Shikari has had some really key silences. Anytime an engaged attempts to be forced by Diabolus, you jump forward on the pike, suddenly he's silenced with no ability to flash out. You stack up the concussive blows, they're CC'd under you, and that's how a lot of those kills came through for Misfits.
We're going to have to see whether or not Misfits can continue to remain this dominant. 2-0. Game 1, a little bit more shaky. Game 2, there were still mistakes made, and Diabolus did a good job to punish them, but Misfits definitely had a tighter ship running there.
Yeah.
And we're looking a lot more in control. They closed the game out in an extra 14 minutes. So, great improvement coming out from Game 1 from Misfits, and Diabolus, they need to bounce back now. They're pushed to the wall. This is do or die. This is you going to EU Masters or walking away empty-handed and not finding a win at the Grand Finals.
That's the biggest hit, is that they knocked Enclave out, but Enclave already have their EU Master spot secure. If they lose here today, it could be devastating for the Diabolus roster.
Yeah, and I think that the big thing is they look like they've been improving so heavily, but it just doesn't seem to be enough up against Misfits, who have been doing so well, who have, again, in that game, they had really good control the whole game. And part of that is because of the draft. It allowed them the early game focus. That was their win condition, and they executed upon it. However, that leaves Diabolus in a bit of a shaky spot, because twice now we've seen Misfits do very well with their leads. Even when behind, they just managed to eke out a win, and that first game could really end up deciding this series.
I think the one saving grace here is that Diabolus will be back on red side.
Yes.
Is a big advantage for them. They can get the counter pick for Flaxish, and potentially this game 3 could go their way. And I wouldn't be against predicting that, saying that Diabolus will claw a game back, but the problem is it will then again go to Misfits on the blue side, and that's really where things will come difficult, and that's why they have to try and just take out Misfits and put it to the match point.
I'm glad you mentioned Flaxish getting counterpick as well, because he's still got quite a few things up his sleeve. At European Masters, we saw him pull out the Renekton, the Yasuo. These are all options if he wants to go for like a dominant split pushing kind of 1v9 carry.
I mean,
you don't look
I
so
love
convinced.
it. I love the idea. I'm not 100% convinced, and part of that, I think Shikari played so much better that game.
Yes.
The matchup is easier.
Yeah.
That is something to note, because they predicted correctly that the Ryze would go top lane, and Cho'Gath into Ryze, as I said, historically a good matchup, remains such, especially when you get some jungle pressure.
I think the thing as well is that Shikari once again knows his job in the team. He's not picking it in such a way as that I'm going to carry on 1v9. But game 1, the reason he went Maokai instead of something like Gnar is he's aware that Flaxish plays Yasuo. He knows he could get put in a really bad counter matchup where he can't help the team. On Maokai, yes, he was just a CC bot late game, but he was a useful CC bot. And in this game, he picks a matchup that isn't I'm going to dominate Ryze, but I'm going to provide pressure, I'm going to do well, and he was just a solid backbone for his team. And I think that's the big thing for Misfits. Everyone's doing their job, everyone's playing their role, and that's why they're 2-0 up in the series.
On the other side, I think Diabolus, you have to look at Balulu, because even when he's getting all these bans forced onto him, had an amazing performance on Azir. There were a lot of very clean plays, really good Shurima shuffles, maintained pressure even when a lot of pressure was being put on him. However, it just wasn't enough because the rest of Diabolus couldn't match that level of play.
I mean, the big issue for me was the bot lane. They died 2v2 so many times you missed half the kills because you were looking elsewhere on the map. That shouldn't happen, especially when you're playing Pyke Ezreal. They are both very mobile, they are both very safe. You do not pick that lane to look for 2v2s, you look for it to survive and impact the rest of the map. And they made massive mistakes, which honestly, big reason why they ended up losing out in this game.
I mean, it's all to play for. It's this point, Misfits probably coming into this game feeling a lot more confident, a lot more comfortable. You know, they've warmed up, they've got game 1 out of the way, game 2 a lot better for them. Diabolus though, shaky performance.
And it's match point.
It is match point. How does your mental come into this game knowing how quickly and how dominantly you just lost that last game, and now you're forced into a situation where you don't have any extra lives? This is it. You have to find that win. You're out of your Mario lives. You're not going to be able to come back.
Having personally been in this situation, you have to forget about the previous 2 games. Don't think, oh, we're 1-0, one game until we lose. Just think, right, 1 game in front of us, let's try and win it. You think, what went wrong in the previous games? Let's try and make that better. And that's all I would do if I was in this sort of situation. You're 2-0 down. Even if you lose this 3rd game, go into it and think, right, what can I do better? What can shore things up? Because you might say, oh, we do this, and that gets better, but then they still end up winning. But at least you can go, we tried.
I mean,
don't lose confidence.
And then, one thing to credit Diabolus with as well is, since the coach and the new players came in, they've been a roster that tilts so much less. We've seen in series previously for Diabolus, they lost the first game, and the second game just they completely fell apart. While obviously this game 2 was cleaner by their enemy, I don't think this was a completely tilted team. I think this is a team that
beaten down.
Yes, and we saw they were able to find picks later on. They weren't completely tilting and losing the game just outright. They were still able to find openings.
It just felt like Misfits were very clinical with that closing out.
Well, clinical closeout by Misfits, and can they do it one more time to secure themselves a 3-0 and a clean win going into the European Masters? We don't know. We're going to have to find out after the break, so don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a second.